News here at 6 begins right now.
Live, you're watching NBC 4LA. News at 6.
A woman hauling human remains through a neighborhood in Ontario is in jail tonight, and police have a lot of questions about the victim, what happened, and why. Good evening, everyone. At 6 o'clock, I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Chuck Henry. Well, it is indeed, as you hear, it's all very, very strange. The circumstances leading up to it are still unclear. The suspect, as Colleen mentioned, a woman from San Bernardino. She was hauling the human remains along Holmes Avenue in Ontario. Jennifer Bjorklund has more of the details. Jen?
Sorry, Chuck. Crime scene investigators have wrapped up their work here, and while they don't know exactly if the crime happened here, there is a big hole in the backyard that has evidence that there was a body in it. The backyard of this house was the focus of the investigation today after police arrested this woman, 51-year-old Carmen Montenegro, out in front of it yesterday. She was pushing a trash can full of body parts up the street. Neighbors shot this video of it.
She seemed kind of sad, but, not upset or not crying, and I didn't know, what they were doing. And then all of a sudden, they just arrested her.
While detectives spent all night following up on leads, they used the daylight to unearth whatever clues they could here, and holes in the backyard found evidence that a body had been there, but no evidence of a crime scene, no basement, no room that showed evidence of a body being dismembered.
We're not sure if the homicide occurred here. We do know we have human remains, that is a fact, and that and some connection to the female since she was trying to leave the location with the body.
We had like a little powwow. There was like 10 of us neighbors got together, and I told them all what I knew, and everyone was just shocked.
The neighborhood is a tight-knit one where everyone is now trying to come up with a theory about what happened and what Carmen Montenegro might have gotten herself into.
Carmen was always in trouble. She was doing drugs.
But police say she asked for a lawyer immediately, and everyone else in the house who was taken in for questioning has since been released. Do you know anything about that particular house? Is that like a problem house in the neighborhood?
Not that I know of, no. But, it's a pretty quiet neighborhood.
But they are all talking tonight with widely varying theories on who the victim might be, where and when he died. But, until the coroner does a preliminary report, none of that information will be confirmed to anybody. Live in Ontario, Jennifer Bjorklund, NBC 4LA.
All right, Jen, thank you. A 14-year-old Orange County girl has irreversible brain damage. She was hit by a suspected drunk driver over the weekend. This is a picture of 14-year-old Ashton Sweet. She's being kept alive so her family can find out if her organs can be donated to others. Her friend, you see here, Krista Mursa, remains hospitalized. This crash happened early on Sunday morning in Irvine. All day long, friends and family left notes and flowers at the crash scene. Witnesses say the driver of a truck ran a red light and crashed into them. Police arrested 26-year-old Austin Farley on suspicion of drunk driving.
I'm very angry. I've heard rumors that this isn't the first time that he's drank and drive. It's just all bad.
That young lady was in the car. She suffered a concussion. When Ashton's friends return to school at Northwood High School tomorrow, they say they will all wear white to remember her.
For the second time in 2 days, firefighters were called out to Dodger Stadium to put out a small fire. This fire reported around 5 o'clock this morning inside a cinder block storage room. Now, this is the same storage room where a fire broke out during Saturday's game. Saturday's fire was caused by paper products catching on fire. No word on what caused this fire.
Firefighters now say they may change how they fight fires around lakes and streams. They may limit fire retardant drops in those areas because those chemicals can kill fish and cause other negative impacts on the environment. Now, we certainly see a lot of those fire retardant drops when firefighters battle the brush fires around here during fire season. That orange chemical is called Phosgene. It helps slow down the advance of the flames. The LA Times reports firefighters use about 28 million gallons every year. The Forest Service is still reviewing the proposed changes and will make a final decision by the end of this year. If that does happen, there will be exceptions. For instance, a pilot will release the fire retardant near a lake or stream if someone's life is in danger.
President Obama today made the traditional visit to Arlington National Cemetery and the Tombs of the Unknown, where he paid tribute to America's fallen. The president and the first lady stood at attention while the bugler played taps. At the beginning of the ceremony today, the president placed a wreath at the tomb to honor all those who have served and died for our country.
Our nation owes a debt to its fallen heroes that we can never fully repay. But we can honor their sacrifice, and we must. We must honor it in our own lives by holding their memories close to our hearts and heeding the example they set.
The president also went to Section 60 of Arlington National Cemetery. That is where mostly fallen soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan have been buried since 9/11.
The Sons of the Confederacy held a Memorial Day protest today by displaying the Confederate flag at the Los Angeles National Cemetery in Westwood. Participants say they are commemorating the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. Conan Nolan joins us live from Westwood right now, where the display of the Confederate flag has irked many people who showed up at the cemetery today. Conan.
Colleen, the fact is, this is the only day out of the year where the Confederate flag legally can be flown at the Los Angeles National Cemetery, and it can only be flown on this day because of a disputed grave of a Confederate soldier here who died a Yankee. Outside the Los Angeles National Cemetery, Vietnam vet John Medlin protests a flag that he says dishonors such hallowed ground.
They seceded from the Union in order to keep slavery. That's not what I fought for in Vietnam. This should not happen.
While it has been part of what flies for the state of Mississippi, the Confederate battle flag has also been allowed to fly in Memorial Day celebrations here in the past, which has rankled more than a few.
I feel highly insulted every time I see it. Why not have the Nazis and the Japanese and the North Koreans and the Viet Cong out here?
A group known as the Sons of the Confederacy were allowed to fly the flag because of this man. Liza King was a Confederate deserter who ended up fighting for the Union Army, the only man buried here who wore gray.
He's buried here because he was a member of the Union Army, not the Confederate Army.
Yes, sir.
Civil War reenactors here fly the colors of their state regiment while trying to impart the history of a troubled period.
We talked to the public about what went on.
Are you surprised with how little they know?
At times, yes. We do have some education to make up there because they're taught different things or not taught at all.
They steer clear of the flag fight. Marv Thompson, an African-American, plays a rebel sergeant.
Some would say that reenactment is about history, but a flag is about honor. So they say that's where we draw the line.
No, I don't agree with that at all. You know, I'm a Civil War reenactor, basically telling the truth on what really happened out there and what it was about.
As it turns out, the Sons of the Confederacy didn't show up today. There was no battle flag controversy today, at least. The only flag we saw today was the ones on each one of the 76,000 graves here at the Los Angeles National Cemetery. I'm Conan Nolan in Westwood, Channel 4 News. Back to you.
And there shouldn't be a controversy on Memorial Day. Now, no doubt you've heard of combat journalists or combat photographers, but what about a combat artist? Coming up in a moment, we're going to introduce you to a local man who has been this country's largest contributor to combat art for some time.
Plus, thousands of people turn out all across Southern California today to honor fallen heroes, the sights and sounds of local Memorial Day festivities. And then there's Fritz.
Well, now that we've tweaked the weather toward loveliness, can we just hold on to this for a while? I'll tell you about it with a surf advisory in my full forecast coming up. See you then.
If I'm watching news as a viewer, I want someone I trust and someone who knows what they're talking about.
The news is a two-way process, and I do feel that we get feedback from viewers. And that's really important to hear what you think about what we're doing so that we can better communicate.
8-time world champion, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up, and they say that.
Celebrating 25 years of fun, San Manuel Indian Bingo and Casino.
'Cause all I do is win, win, win. Put your hands in the air, make a.
People ask me often, where do you get your investigative stories? Do you have great sources? Well, I have good sources. but you get your best stories sometimes from just listening. The everyday problems of people are often the seeds of great investigative stories.
On this Memorial Day, we'd like you to meet John Keno, a local vet who has served as an official combat artist for the military during the Vietnam War. Here's his story now in his own words.
Combat Artist is a program that was developed by the Army to illustrate and document the history and chronological events of the war, which was gathered together and then produced into a book for the veterans who were exiting the country as part of their package for being in Vietnam. What the combat art program was to try to raise the morale of the troops and show them that there was, you know, something that they could tangibly have. It was like your yearbook. And I was a draftee, and they really took a big chance on me. I was not Army. I didn't join. They took me kicking and screaming. So, but the job was just, it's the best job in the Army. Everything was captured literally, yes, in my mind. And then the majority of the work was done in the atmosphere of celebration when we went back to base camp. There is no high greater than this thrill of victory over the enemy. Well, the motivation for the artwork, I think, came from inside, from the human spirit. Okay, I think that came from the heart. I have them indelibly imprinted on my mind. And then I have an excellent memory. I can remember almost every battle that we had, and then who was killed and what happened in those battles. This 16,000 paintings plus is most likely the most valuable art collection the government owns. So we have this magnificent contribution of artwork from all of my peers from 1910 through present day. I have 27 pieces of artwork in the exhibit. I believe I am the largest contributor for the entire exhibit from 1910 to present day.
Fascinating pictures there. John Keno, combat artist. Now, this is the parade that almost didn't take place. Canoga Park got its Memorial Day parade back this year because the community just refused to let it go. Just a year ago, this community tradition was canceled because of budget problems. The city claimed it would have to pay about $30,000 to stage the parade for cleanup and staging and security and the like. But the Canoga Park Chamber of Commerce decided to bring it back this year, and they figured out how to do it for only $6,000. So the community once again got a chance to salute all of those who have served and died. And it began with a flyover of a C-17 Globemaster, and it ended with this, a skydiver carrying the American flag. The Memorial Day observation at Green Hills Memorial Park in Rancho Palos Verdes was one of the biggest events in the area today. It was the 26th annual Memorial Day observance at this park.
Almost every historic battle or real story about a war hero has been turned into some kind of a Hollywood movie. Movies like The Longest Day, you got Platoon and Patton, just to name a few. Well, coming up, we're going to take a look at some of your all-time favorites.
And as you can see, it's beautiful out there today, a picture-perfect Memorial Day. What about the rest of the week? Fritz Mann and the weather up in just a minute.
We've got the beat that you've been looking for. Yes, Ross has unbeatable savings in store.
Don't miss a beat. Get on over to Ross. You'll find the latest styles, the brands you love. But what you won't find are those ridiculously high prices you'd pay at the mall.
It's the beat that you've been looking for. Yes, Ross has unbeatable
Ross,
savings
unbeatable.
in store.
Now open in Paramount in downtown San Bernardino.
All season, Nate will surprise you. The Nate Burkus Show, weekdays.
Weekdays at 2 on NBC.
The Sonata gives you more horsepower than the Camry, better mileage than the Accord, and now, something even better, the Hyundai Assurance Trade-in Value Guarantee. Buy a 2011 Sonata, and we'll tell you now what it'll be worth.
Our taco salad is loaded with so much goodness that it could double as a piñata. But we wouldn't recommend it. And that's just the way it is. The Green Burrito Taco Salad with seasoned ground beef, fresh salsa, and sour cream. Now at Carl's Jr.
When your eyes are smiling, you're smiling. And when they're laughing, you're laughing. Be kind to your eyes with Transitions lenses. Transitions adapt to changing light, so you see your whole day comfortably and conveniently while protecting your eyes from the sun. Ask your eye care professional which Transitions lenses are right for you.
Dad? It's time. You'd be a really nice catch for somebody. Please?
Just for Men takes 5 easy minutes, targets only the gray hair, and can start something great.
Yes!
Just for Men.
Tonight is the night for new Law & Order. At 9/8 Central,
Welcome back, Detective.
D'Onofrio returns on new Law & Order Criminal Intent.
Are you a crazy person?
And at 10/9 Central, it's espionage.
They're Russian spies.
On new Law & Order LA.
Emir Paul's in a much bigger game. You didn't know that, did you?
New Law & Order CI. New Law & Order LA. Tonight, 9/8 Central on NBC.
Give you a hint of what's coming up. We've been sitting here discussing our favorite war movies, and the list is long, but that's coming up in just a minute. So in the meantime...
Lots of them are playing on TV. Like over and over again today. Well, it turned out to be a beautiful day. We lost the winds. It's still breezy out there, but below advisory level. We've got some high surf for a few days, but great weather. We may tone the temperatures down. Take a look at some currents around the Southland, just to give you a sampling on a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. 70 right now out in inland Ventura County, Santa Clarita, 73 at Van Nuys, 65 downtown, and 75 degrees up in the Antelope Valley. So we have a little momentary high pressure area. That storm that made us unstable yesterday, and everybody swore it was going to be a full-on storm. It was to the south. They had 1/10 of an inch of rain down there. Has moved over into Wyoming. So we have a little high pressure, this sort of momentary flat ridge of high pressure before we're affected by lower pressure, which will spin off frontal systems to the north. And as those fronts spin off and go inland to the north of us, we're going to deepen the marine layer, sort of cool things down, increase the onshore flow, and sort of just take the edge off some of the warmer temperatures. But tonight, the only marine layer ought to be relegated just to the immediate beach and probably not inland. West winds at 15 miles an hour. Turning sunny tomorrow with similar temperatures, and then Wednesday we're going to tone the numbers down noticeably. We'll turn partly cloudy, a few more clouds, 5 to 8 degrees cooler inland. The beaches, however, will stay just about the same. All of the red areas are surf advisories, Ventura County coast, LA, Orange, and San Diego. And that will start in effect at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning and last till 3 o'clock on Friday morning. These are 5 to 8, some sets to 12. And with the big high tide, which will happen at 8:45 on Tuesday night at about 6.3 feet, we're recommending you don't observe anywhere near like a jetty or an observation point of the water because it will be nasty with a rip current. So another warm day tomorrow, almost like today. Low 80s inland, beautiful weather. Mid and upper 70s in the intermediate valleys, mid and upper 60s at the beaches, and then we're looking at high at 80, and the same for Northridge. Here's the extended forecast for the coast, the inland areas, including downtown and all the valleys. Look at the valleys because they'll have the noticeable drop. On Wednesday, we're going to come down substantially. That'll be the longer lasting marine layer clouds and the stronger onshore flow, but then we'll stay really comfortable mid-70s in the valleys for the rest of the week. Should be a gorgeous week.
You know, well, Colleen mentioned that we were talking about our favorite war movies, so we should tell yours was.
Well, the longest day in modern warfare, the Hurt Locker and
Black
Hawk Down, but the World War II.
Okay, so you had the longest day, and you selected, and this is a good one. It's an oldie.
It's one I watched with my dad, actually. 12 O'Clock High, and of course,
I
Black
had
Hawk Down. Anything that has to do with air.
And mine was The Great Escape, just because I love that movie.
They're all
I think
good.
I've got most of the lines memorized from that.
But you know what's really interesting is Kerry Burlow is going to look at how war movies actually evolve in Hollywood.
From the very first film ever to win the Best Picture Oscar, Wings, in 1927, Hollywood has been telling war stories from every angle, every continent, and every decade. And when the movie business does it just right, war films become classic cinema, whether because of how it shows battle or because of how it shows battle scars.
Say something else.
By the very essence of war, there is a dramatic opportunity to examine every emotion, from courage and bravery to fear and cowardice, from heartache to loneliness, insanity to genius. There are the endless stories that war provides, from the soldiers to their families, the girlfriends back home to the buddies on the battlefield.
And there ain't no world but this one. I've seen another world.
I like to hear the bombs go off.
Have you been to war?
No.
You haven't?
No, and I'm not going to go.
And there are the countless sensory overload chances that planes and bombs and ships and gunfire afford a filmmaker.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
The action itself, and if there's like a little drama in there too, so you'll be captivated by the story and development of the character.
We all have a slightly different list of bests when it comes to war films, based sometimes on how Hollywood attacked the subject or on the attacks themselves.
Special effects, a lot of, bullets flying and explosions, yeah.
And yet, the story about a person or people.
A good storyline, a good plot, it helps if it's based on some true events.
And as the wars changed, so did the films about them. After Vietnam, Hollywood's war stories became much grittier, far more real. The happy endings, far more rare. What makes a good war film?
Adherence to the truth, so that it reflects actually what happened.
So go ahead, try to compile a list of the 10 best war films ever made, and I guarantee a debate will ensue, and the 10 will become 20. And the rankings, well, you'll never agree on that. In Hollywood, I'm Kerry Berglund for NBC4 LA.
He's absolutely right, and we just keep adding to the list.
Private Ryan. How did we forget Private
That's another
Ryan?
great
And
one.
you got to throw in maybe Tropic Thunder and Stripes. How about that?
Tropic Thunder.
And if you're going to do that, Three Kings.
All right, big comeback for Tom Cruise. And a big comeback for the Angels as well. A college football coach surprisingly walks away from his team. Plus, they might be blind, but this Orange County paddling team has a better view on life than most people. An inspirational group that sees no obstacles.
This portion of the news is sponsored in part by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Mike and Brenda found a house that they really wanted.
It was in my sister's neighborhood.
I told you it was perfect for you guys.
It's literally across the street from her sister.
But someone else bought it before they could get their offer together.
We really missed a great
Dodged a bullet there.
So we talked to them about the Wells Fargo Priority Buyer Pre-Approval. It lets people know that you're a serious buyer because you've been credit approved.
We got everything in order so that we could move on the next place we found.
Which was clear on the other side of town.
Wells Fargo, with you when you're ready to move.
Shrimp, shrimp, and more shrimp. Now, for a limited time at TGI Fridays, get all-you-can-eat shrimp when you choose one of our select entree combinations. Who says you can't have your shrimp and eat it too? Only at TGI Fridays and only for a limited time.
Find a great deal on your new living room at Living Spaces, where we're celebrating Memorial Day with loads of amazing living room deals while supplies last. Get the Stonehenge sofa and chase for just $4.95, the Bowery sofa and love seat for just $5.95, the Dayton reclining sofa and love seat for just $7.95, or the Cape sectional for just $8.95. So hurry into Living Spaces, where you can buy it today and enjoy it tonight.
Living Spaces.
Caring neighbors make strong communities. Following the teachings of our ancestors, the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians is making a difference, providing millions of dollars for health care, recently for cancer research and treatment to Loma Linda University Medical Center. Our tribe is giving back to the community, helping to create new medical breakthroughs for future generations.
Indian tribes and California together, one community.
White one.
Hurry in and see what.
As Chuck told us at the top of the hour, Dodger Stadium may be catching on fire, but today the Angel Bat sparked at just the right time Halos and Royals in Kansas City. But first, a great Memorial Day for the serviceman tricked his girlfriend into thinking he was still overseas. All of a sudden, he shows up at the ballpark and gets down on one knee, We've seen plenty of proposals of baseball games, but this is one of the best. Irvin Santana's offering to Alex Gordon doesn't fare quite as well. His first pitch of the game, Gordon takes it over the center field wall. Royals lead 6-1 at one point. But then the Angels come all the way back. Down 8-7 in the ninth inning. Torrey Hunter had already hit a homer in the game. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Two-run shot puts the Angels on top. They climb all the way back for a 10-8 victory. Great win on the road. Their third in 4 games. Big news from college football. Ohio State coach Jim Tressel resigned today amid a growing scandal involving players selling team memorabilia at a tattoo parlor. Tressel led the Buckeyes to the national championship in 2002. And a championship is exactly what these fans want today in Boston. Bruins faithful cheering as their team left town. Bruins on their way to Vancouver. Of course, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals is Wednesday at 5 o'clock. You can catch that game right here on NBC 4 LA. Well, we all have a tendency to take things for granted, friends, family, even our basic motor skills. But there's a team in Orange County that doesn't have the luxury of sight. They take nothing for granted, and now their opponents take them very seriously.
69-year-old Sandy Burton doesn't let her visual impairment get in the way of an exhausting weekly routine. Training alongside her blind outrigger paddling team. As you'd expect, Sandy is the envy of the senior citizen complex she lives in.
They're just totally amazed. They think, I can't believe you go down there and you go paddling 3 times a week. And I thought, yeah, while they're sitting there in the clubhouse playing card games, I'm paddling.
The Makapo Canoe Club makes quite a splash wherever they make an appearance, since they're one of a kind, always racing against sighted teams.
They're usually amazed because they don't realize at first that we can't see.
Okay, guys, you ready to go?
Among those in awe was Kirsten Williams. The lifelong paddler met the team in Hawaii following an 18-mile open ocean race.
I just could imagine what it was like to set out to do something like that, something that you'd never tried before and without any ability to see what you were doing.
The other thing I want you to add today is your leg.
Based on that courage and dedication, Williams didn't feel the Makapo team had to settle for last place every time they hit the water, so she offered to coach them.
Beautiful work.
That was 4 years ago.
There are no more last place canoes full of blind people.
Crossing first is the last thing on her mind when looking at the big picture. Williams soon found out blind people tend to live with a little bit of stress, fearful of falling or crashing. In a canoe, there's none of that.
They get to go as hard as they want, as fast as they want.
I can't wait to come down here. It makes me feel alive, and it makes me feel that there's nothing I can't do after I've been here.
And Team Makapo's training to raise funds to compete in canoe paddling's biggest race later this year in Kona, Hawaii. That's a good cause to help.
That's a great idea. That was fun to watch.
All right, sure.
All right, Mario, thank you. There's some news stories we're working on for the 11 o'clock news tonight. We are all talking about Dodger Stadium. Some dark days in Dodger Town. Attendance is way down. What will it take to get people back to the stadium? Of that story and, of course, all the breaking news, late breaking news tonight. We see you right here at 11 o'clock.
Okay, and we'll go out with some video of Venice Beach on this beautiful day. You know, the bodybuilders were out there. Everybody's having a great time on Memorial Day. There are the guys all lined up, and women as well out there. I think that's a good way to end the show.
I believe you might be right. There's something for everyone in this newscast today, right, Chuck?
It is. Kate Snow is substituting for Brian tonight on the NBC Nightly News, and we'll see you back here at 11.
Good night, everybody.
Broadcast tonight paying tribute to America's fallen heroes.